This is looking good for Furia, but there were some major stumbles this map.
Oh my god.
The keep us in this series a little while longer. Vertigo as our second map of the series.
At the same time, Furia felt like they were lacking instigators on that D side of Overpass. The question is Art going to be playing up to those old shenanigans now that he's on slightly more comfortable grounds? Floppy? Dooley is the only defense that this B side have. And he needs to put up a show.
And Lee's just hunting for information down ramp, though. It's just going to be too late by the time they realize Floppy face checking it, and Art immediately floors him. This is the problem with only having one player on that B site, is that you're going to be left very vulnerable if Floppy ends up empty-handed. But they will have a flank, and Elige will catch Keserato.
Still need Grim to start putting up some numbers. He's not quite able to find anyone. Holzer goes down inside the smoke, and Grim is just waiting for it to dissipate. Elige's flank that was so long in the making might end up finding nothing. Grim falls. Yuri continues forward. His tirade of frags with the AUG in the early portions of Overpass were what gave Furia that beginning. And they were able to propel forward with, run away with, despite Complexity chasing on their heels. Now maybe Furia can do the same, start off strong.
Yeah, it was a 4-man A start there from Complexity. Some good damage being done here by Elige towards the tail end of things, where he took some damage himself. But I do think he escaped with his life. No round though, Furia breaching into that B site. Just overwhelming Floppy. It was the weaker of the two bomb sites to hit, and Furia are very satisfied with how that's probably played out. And he just crept up, and Floppy was left blissfully unaware by the time Complexity were starting to cheat those rotations away from what was a 4-man play towards A ramp. Just a little too late.
He's got an M4 at the very least from everything he saved up. So if there was ever going to be a hero moment, this would be it. He does get the advantage of spotting out the heads of any D-side players who come forward without a flashbang to help them. He will see them first.
I think even if they're setting up for the right side generators, could be exposed. Very hard angle to clear. Alicia eventually falling off of it. The Furia is still underneath those B steps, kind of waiting for their time to strike, and they would have heard that sound cue.
Are they going to be expecting Floppy nearby after that? That is the question. Molotov good, well placed, forces Floppy back, and he won't really be able to put up a defense, but now Elige looks to use that smoke to his own advantage. Furia yet to commit, and with the smoke that greets them at stairs, this won't be an easy commitment at all.
Well, they're starting to creep their way up towards A as well, all the meanwhile.
But Complexity are expecting this. Complexity are calling for rotations over. JT is down, Furia falls as well. The problem with rotating back to A is you really are just confined to a save that isn't even guaranteed with Art's Mac 10 nearby.
Oh man, Art just toying with them. An SMG that looked to lead the way and actually serving as a lurk. It's Elige that's done a lot of damage on the initial cross to the bomb site, but ends up empty-handed frag-wise. Just the fact that it was Art on the nameplate, getting that kill towards short. Suddenly they were fighting ghosts. They had to worry about short presence, a player creeping up ramp. Art had doubled his presence on that A plate just by changing positions.
I hope it's the one that kills people, because that's the one that your nephew kept using on me.
Really come out on top with 3 kills
You need to learn how to count. I need to learn how to counter it. No, it was in real life. He kept killing me. I was sitting on the couch and he kept casting spells, and he said it means that you're dead. I was like, God darn it, I don't have counters.
Too early to discuss, but should be something kept in mind.
Well, this could be a little awkward here for Art. 2 players around the corner. First player floored, and Holzerk able to get the trade. Took a lot of damage, flash in. Cello not really blinded by it, but a really labored spray adjustment. A hard one to get a handle back on. Queserado there to make sure they don't get hands on their guns, but JT right above him. This fight is very awkward. Queserado's got the Glock out, but JT now pulling out the rifle that had very limited ammo. A little scary on a couple fights, but Furia keep 3 alive and keep 3 to their rounds as well.
As we move forward to the gun rounds, one of the things you have to keep in mind is sort of the dynamic between Elite and Grim historically as well. When they were on Liquid, it felt like Grim had really taken the knee as far as roles were concerned. He went from being a player in Triumph who was known for his mid-round, late-round presence to sometimes being put into the aggravator's shoes.
Yeah.
Now like Elite has given him all those roles.
Yeah, felt like the classic test of NA talent was all those roles he used to do, we're not doing those anymore.
So now where you do have all those roles, and Elite has been the one to redefine himself and do so swimmingly well. You do need him to show up.
They got their hands on rifles, and they wanted to challenge over towards that A ramp, but not a lot showing there for Fury. It's instead this mid play. Cello gunned down just before that smoke bloomed, but blissfully unaware. Art had crept further forward than Elise was anticipating. Fallen still probing with this AWP. JT floored. And he was that first port of call on the hold. Holzerk sat inside of a smoke, and this doesn't feel the healthiest. Yuri is watching for this exact play. He had him locked in. That's a free kill for Furia.
Despite the early kill found by Grim, Elise's demise, and then Fallen finding the follow-up. Changes things. Complexity will once again be turning around and tucking their tail between their legs.
But Fury haven't been going in with pace. They've been playing a very stable, slow game from Overpass, now moving into Vertigo as well. And it's still the same culprits that you're expecting to see be that instigator on this Furia squad. Still seeing Art go for some of these plays, but they're just waiting Complexity out and adjusting and finding that push in the mid-round, and Complexity are getting caught off.
And this is one of the nice things about Art where, look, I do agree with a lot of what pundits have discussed about Art maybe not being able to bring that entire playbook up to the very tippity top again, but as opposed to the old Art whose aggression was characterized by getting as much map control as humanly possible and then taking a duel at an awkward angle, this is a much better showing.
Yeah, it's a matured Art. You know, he's been through and had multiple players on this roster surrounding the core that have played together for 6 years. You know, for him, it's been a growing period. Even though they had those bouts of success, they make it to quarterfinals on so many different events, but aren't always able to collect themselves to actually win and lift trophies. You know, that's something that, you know, maybe it can be credited to the adjustment that Fallen and Cello bring. Because if you're trying to play a fast-paced version of Counter-Strike and you've got Fallen on your team, it just feels like that it's a mismatch of styles. So they've met somewhere in the middle. You know, they're still pretty vulnerable. I like the little jump there from Argay, a little extra distance, and barely surviving. You know, 1 HP, so that extra little helps.
Tacticals were something that Complexity ran out of quite early in the previous map as well. It felt like one more of them, one more pause could have gone a long way, but I wouldn't say that should dissuade them from using more. If you can't turn things around early, well, those pauses are going to be pretty useless later on.
Gotta say, shout out our observing team for making that catch, but also being with us on some of these long days. In fact, longer than us, typically. All the production crew working around the clock, all these different time zones.
We got off days in between, they don't.
Yeah. But you can't afford an off day when you're facing Furia, especially when Copenhagen is around that corner. Start 2-0 up, and this is the demon you face. Complexity already being met with a bit of aggression over towards A, but they come out no worse for wear on the A ramp attack. Art forced back.
Elige is planning a potential push forward as well later on in the round. As always, he seems to be the one trying to cordon off space. But a flash for Grim to clear out, but Cello's now going to be given a little bit more free ground. Floppy rotates back. Grim, an annoying angle for sure, but he's only good for one. No, take that back. Two found and he stays alive. Felt like Acerado was set up for a trade, but Fallen, after finding Floppy, loses his head, still somehow has his body.
Yeah, took a lot of damage from Grim, who just came out swinging. Don't think he really stopped for the fight, but the fact they hit that dink instantly. I like the adjustment here from Complexity as well, getting that boost up. Even if there are smokes down for Furia, crossing into that bomb site will be difficult with that extra elevation. Just have to make sure they don't fall victim to Fallen pre-aiming it on the AWP. First smoke down, but getting past Crane, that's what JT has an angle on.
Fantastic kill found. Art down, Fallen now, that pre-aim. And you mentioned, doesn't really come into play either. Molotov won't stop Yuri from getting the initial peak, and JT is down. 10 seconds on the clock. Fallen needs to try and cover off. The nade from Elige will not finish him. But Fallen now might just end up dying after time. There's 3 seconds left, and he's just trying to hug the smoke. Inside, he lies in wait, and Elige will not be able to trace him. No, I take it back again. That's a huge kill to find. Fallen won't have enough money to be able to repurchase in. Fortunately, Yuri can drop him, but that all being saved over would have really gone a long way.
Yeah, I mean, just it makes the difference not being able to float some extra reserves and be able to push that forward, you know, dropping pistols in a upcoming round should Complexity start to chain two together. You know, that's sometimes the difference between extra damage being done to that CT economy that can be so fickle.
Art's going for a pick right now with the AWP. That's the only reason why you see him have this. Can we get eyes on what he's got in mind, maybe?
Fallen got his hands back on it.
Oh, well.
And that's why.
For good reason, apparently.
He had the hot hand on overpass.
Elige did as well. So far, yet to continue that absolutely absurd spree of domination that he presented, but maybe this is his chance with Floppy setting up for him to trade, potentially. Quesarado, so concerned with the Floppy angle up top of the stairs that he might have gone and missed Elige. Instead has called for the retreat and a regroup. Plenty of time for Furia to see if Complexity can make a mistake. Complexity, however, with this much utility, have no reason to really aggress through without crossing with some flashes, without getting some mollies out. That's awkward. Don't really blame him for it, but Holzerk right now fully blind, found out Elige. Trades elsewhere on the map. Fallen moves through a Molotov, but Art moves through Grim's skull. And now Floppy meets a flame of his own as the bomb is being planted. Art will continue to aggress forward. Will Floppy push through the smoke? Yes, he will. Waits for the flashbang. That's what they needed. And now 2 versus 1. Fallen to defend, but the elevated angle is taken by Elige. Fallen does not notice in time. Complexity get there second despite Art's best efforts.
Yeah, some nice kills there from Art, and honestly just like some nice technique as well, throwing that nade on top of that short presence and then having that flash to follow up. That nade, I mean, it just completely obliterates your ability to hear sound. So if you were going to try and turn from a flash, good luck. Even with all of that, the fact that they're able to line up with that flash play through the smoke at elevator makes a world of a difference. Art couldn't really put up much of a fight, but it was the start from Complexity getting aggressive both at A and B simultaneously. You know, the B play was a little bit later on that they decided to go for that push, but Furia were met at aggression, or with aggression rather, on both sides of the map.
I have to say, I really appreciate. No, hold the point. It's so much blood being spilled right at ramp, and this is where Furia pulling out that fully aggressive maneuver. Is Complexity just going to turn back and save?
It's a lower buy.
They have enough util to try and make a go of it. They won't be there in time to try and deny the plan from actually happening unless Furia do this. They've delayed. Had delayed long enough that if Floppy wanted to accelerate a little bit, those nades could have come through, but Cello, he's left with 1 HP and that's gone. Unfortunately for Complexity, they've lost Holzerk though, so it's not quite even. Floppy picked up the op, I know what that means.
Yeah, they're calling it quits. That's a rough round to bite the bullet on, but those two A players getting run over so quickly, guns being given over to Furia, as well as having utility to bridge into the bomb site. Complexity were hoping that there was somebody lurking inside of middle. That's why they were hesitant to actually re-engage back onto A. And unfortunately for them, going for that 1-for-1 when they actually sort of bombarded Cello out of the round.
And I mean, Yuri getting that double early on as well is just massive. The fact that he's able to get up onto the sandbags like that and be largely uncontested. He has been a real factor in the series in a way where, honestly, even K-Serrato doesn't feel like he's had as much impact as Yuri has in some of these rounds. K-Serrato's been more of a consistent performer, but when it comes to big multi-kills, I'm definitely looking on Yuri's side.
In terms of winning the round by yourself. That's where Yuri has shone so far versus Complexity. Not an abnormal start here for Furia, but it's a lot more presence, a lot more players than Complexity would have been used to, but they don't reveal that.
Floppy has been playing the back white angle so many times. This time, though, not only is he not there, he's got company behind him, Elige nearby, and Grim not far off either.
Yeah, that smoke is weirding them out, though. They don't really want to approach when that is up. It's a bit tall. One that may have been tailored for the engagement. In fact, the fact that it's re-smoked in much a similar way, this time a little bit deeper here from Complexity, just makes things a little bit weird on the take.
In the meanwhile, JT is also pushing forward all the way through. He's got bridge control so they can call rotations over. The commitment from Art gives them the frag. The way Elige is down, Floppy still yet to be traced through the smoke. And Cello takes the elevated angle with the flashbang. He hoped to take the fight as well, but Floppy dodges long enough to get one. JT pushes forward. How has Yuri dropped the ball on that? Still, Complexity are walking into what looks like a certain death trap. If JT wants to contest this, he needs the instant headshot, and he won't even get a chance to pull the trigger.
Timing was great there for Art. Holzer does get one back from White. Fallen dropped, but a player sat quad. And just waiting for the right time to strike. K-Serrato just holding a line, even with all that utility sailing out from stairs. They don't play together. And K-Serrato able to sideline any attempt at a clutch. Holzerk was pulling them out the wazoo earlier in this tournament. But not to be for Complexity.
Unfortunately, we're just missing out on that multi-kill presence that you hope that 1 or 2 rounds you're going to get a big multi-kill from your anchor. Elige falls early on, but then despite so much attention being taken away from him, Floppy's only good for 1. It's such an awkward angle to fight from, though.
In with pistols, our Complexity. Have done a good job of holding on to leads so far in this series. Overpass was certainly close. But is this one rifle in Elige's hands going to be enough to propel them into another win? Can they upset Furia here? Just a little jiggle, and Elige hard cleared by Cello, and they know they wounded up this extra player in Grim right behind. That weapon was recovered for just a moment, and all JT had was a USP. They needed Elige to pull through with some frags, but he got destroyed on his fight. Good job not dropping your guard. Furia knew that this was likely to be a lower investment. But it's this weird dynamic for Furia. Little bouts of aggression, but a very slow finish. They highlighted it, you know, the fact that there were so many round timeouts for Furia, and sometimes those rounds, it just came down to losing members as they were crossing into the bomb site and just called it quits. Nice timing for Floppy on this flank, but that weapon is looking mighty irretrievable. Chance of it cascading out of control, all on Holzerk. First kill found, and a second as well. Fallen falls, K-Serrato also hits the deck. Holzerk has pulled this round out of the hat. Art is just trying to punch in those digits and hopes that Holzerk makes a mistake, but it's 4 clean headshots on this Deeg. Holzerk is not to be messed with.
They needed a hero, and the man with the mullet will deliver. Complexity put a stop to Furia where they've been unable to. I asked for a multi-kill defense. This was not the round which I expected to get it, but the skill from Furia They can't do anything about Holzerg's deagle. They simply can't refrag it. It's not like they weren't swinging together.
And if you ever needed something to build a bit of confidence, if that doesn't do it, I don't know what will. I was ready to count that round out.
Complexity might have been as well.
Yeah. A couple of missed shots from Holzerg at the start, but every single follow-up bullet found a head.
And Furia is now at this tricky position where their money isn't fantastic. If you lose here, you could very well see Complexity push forward for a 6-6. We've already had one chase from Complexity come into play, and Overpass almost taking the lead, almost taking control in the first. Now would be heartbreaking if Furia had the same happen again. And you talked about confidence. It's clearly there. Elige once again just looking around the edges of the smoke for a player who's cheated past Cello. Unable to be found, and Art unable to be traced as well. The Mac 10, all he needs to do is get one bullet and JT is gone, but JT now knows where Art is. That flashbang, it hit his back.
Yeah, knows at least there's a couple people over towards ramp. But after all that forward pressure over at B, they peeled back. Quesarado hunting, and a headshot offered up. Floppy dealt with. And there will be no quick response. Still holding onto middle is Holzerg, and he could have been that first person to rotate in. It's Elige that has to take up that mantle and does a lot of damage, but doesn't finish off a frag. Trying to get some more space for those rotates to feel more comfortable, but Art has crept his way all the way through that A bomb site, so he's a late lurk, someone that they can maybe rely on before, just as Complexity are setting up for all of this utility. Elige, the flash, it catches him, but Art can still activate. Fallen chewing them up from the front, and Art stabbing them in from behind, but Elige spinning all 360, but it's just too much to handle. Furia, another dominant round.
Everyone so low on the Furia side, so much damage dealt, but nothing can happen. Again, I just feel like we're not getting the performances from the anchor. Floppy peeks out, spots the player, and he feels like he has to take the duel. He feels like he's pressured to take a fight. Quesarado beheads him. And with that, they scale up. You can see the desperation in Elige. He's trying to find a duel while the bomb's being planted. He's trying to do something. He's trying to get anything. But it's all a setup for Art to flank, and now Furia again where they falter once. They pick themselves up immediately. Holzerg, good early kill. An advantage found, but Yuri begins a journey through the smoke.
Oh dear.
To try and flank out two unsuspecting CTs. They have no idea. They don't know at all. Yuri goes back instead, but they're losing members. Yuri's flank might not be relevant at this stage. CTs have no idea, but with an advantage like this, even if Yuri gets one kill, that doesn't guarantee the round. There's 3 players back to be. Holzerg's got mid covered off. That seems to be the naturally assumed kill. Yuri to find, Yuri to evade, Yuri to move past. There's one, there's two, it's found. Grim turns around in time, head on a swivel, and he's got the frag. Elige picks it up as well, and where there was death's door beckoning, Quesarado's the only one to now try and deliver. Even he can only find 2 frags before Furia are shut out of the round. There was a world where Yuri recovers that, but a second kill from Holzerg, that makes it too difficult.
Oh my days. I mean, that round looked like it was about to be disastrous for Complexity. Yuri taking a risk, but found a gap in the defenses. Holzerg picked it up late, but after, I mean, it almost felt like he had to make the adjustment instantly onto Grim, and he was constantly moving, had an SMG in tow, and just hit a blinder of a shot. It's faster here from Furia.
They've accelerated forward, Cello with the Tech 9, hoping to find the first, but no, Floppy is not peeking them, not this time. Deep Molotov to prevent any sort of second wave that they are planning on throwing. Despite the lower buy, Furia continue to try and play out a little bit more slowly. Double util pieces going forward. Cello still hidden away. Yuri, in the meanwhile, loses his life, but Cello's Tech 9 is yet to reveal it. Should get one for free. Indeed, it does. There goes Grim. They weren't expecting a player to already be passed, and now Floppy is down as well, but Elige is flanked. That's all they're depending on. Elige needs to get everything here. Has had a player move past him. The Mac in behind. Elige gonna adjust, but they're not ready for JT as well. A 2-on-2 as the bomb is planted. JT, a deep flash to try and let Holzerk move in, but the AWP can't take first point. Not against the Tech 9 of Cello. Again, playing that forward angle. Quesarado holding JT off, but JT is getting worried. Complexity need to commit. They don't have the time. They don't have the space. Holzerk is the only one with the kit. JT accelerates forward. Quesarado spots him out. Quesarado just playing it with patience, but his patience runs thin. Quesarado is low, has to hold on, but he can't do so. JT, no kit, no time. It'll be right down to the nick of it. Complexity, fighting, praying, hoping for a fifth, but the time will deny, perhaps right at the nick of it. JT, prayers answered. The South African brings it all together with that second flank in the end.
And he played it so well as well. You saw Quesarado was fiending for that fight. JT was low HP. Holzerk may have taken that first point contact, but he had the health to trade, and JT's just the one that ties the bow on top. He stayed alive for so long. And both these teams were battling ghosts. They didn't know where their flanks were happening. There have been so many times that both of them have been shot in the back. That is certainly a way to close the half. Complexity finally getting some good graces their side of things. We had trigger disciplines on Furia the round prior, and Elige certainly had an opportunity here as well, but how are you gonna read Art through a smoke? Holzerk has been doing so much on this CT side, had that crazy round on the D, and then was just finding pick after pick on the AWP as well.
He was Elige's right-hand man in the first as well. Good to see that that form hasn't dipped down, but Complexity still on this D side feel like they need a bit of a showing. And it's a good start for Elige.
Yeah, and let's not forget, he got 3 kills on the pistol on overpass on T side as well.
And trusty P250.
They were clean.
Civ again.
No assembled boost, no reaction here from Furia as of yet.
Smoke down behind Art, but he's already moved past it. He doesn't care. Once they continue pressing through in ramp, he knows that they're going to have to try and isolate this duel, but Art fights right back. Another player around the corner. They don't swing him properly, not in time. Art's aim cannot be denied, and the bomb is in the back lines. Elige, despite the 2 frags that he has found, now has to carry the whole world on his shoulders.
What a shift Art put in there. 3 kills, played his spot perfectly. Complexity never felt safe to get that bomb down.
Not right now, but I probably will be soon.
Now Elige trying to piece
or
it all
eventually.
together. A 1-on-3 ahead of him. He made steps towards the bottom side of ramp, and he's hoping that they reset, but they've stuck together.
Hey baby, take care of yourself. Don't go hungry. I won't like that.
Out. Aren't committed to. Cello's not peeking. They are afraid, and they have every right to be. They should be when it's Elige on the other side. Fallen takes the first peek. Elige cleaning it all up, setting up for the ace. Fallen around the corner, and as he tries to dance with death, Elige is left with no HP, and still Fallen cannot punish. It all comes down to this Complexity behind their leader, hoping, praying, and Fallen with a recovered kit inside the smoke does tap away, but Elige will not bite. Elige will not do so. Fallen still will be able to get this round despite every effort of Elige.
It doesn't get closer than that. The fact that Kit is in a recoverable position and therefore Fallen makes a world of a difference. Even though there was the smoke, Elige had to at least chance the idea that he could have been sticking it, especially when he knew so much damage had been done. One more bullet was all that was needed. It was Art that got the pistol round started, but man, Elige could have certainly finished that.
Feels like a metaphor for a lot of how this game has gone, I won't lie to you. Just at the nick of time. Complexity buy, of course they do. No reason not to. What is the plan behind the force? 3 players escalate up the stairs. JT looking for the first, but Quesarado evades fire. Repeaks back out over. A nade as well. Is there flashes? Is there help? Is there anything? No. His help is down, and Quesarado can only trade it. Now left on a reload inside the flames. He should be falling, and indeed he does. Art will not be able to save the round as Fallen did in the previous. Surely not. Floppy and JT are low, but I don't think he'll contest.
Yeah, simply too low to really make this work. Or was just simply looking for a better gun to recover and save. Complexity with a faster attack on that B bomb site. We saw Furia get away with having this initial...
Oh my god!
Ay, ay, ay.
That's a disaster.
Oh, that's a nice way to crack a smile if you're Complexity. How on earth has Art done that? But a paced up call, you know, after what was a bit of a crushing, almost clutch from Elige. They put that behind them immediately and they attacked that B bomb site that Floppy initially had some problems dealing with himself. Quesarado this time as well. I mean, funneled into a Molotov and basically had to just let himself cook.
CTs do force buy. Again, no surprises there. But as the boost is being set up, Elige has to be careful. Oh, he spots them both out. Elige is going to be able to dismantle this force, rather this stack, before it's even really set up.
Yeah, it costs him 97 health though.
Well, you know, you give and you take.
Yeah, you're just happy he's alive. You can still have some influence on this round.
We do seem a little bit lost after not having to be able to make that boost work. Shell around the corner is gone. JT continues to spam through. The spray unable to find the second, and Yuri is here to recover that frag. With Art and Yuri the only ones standing. And nade to blow open the smoke as well.
Turn 147.
Tricky start for Elige, but it's a cleanup round.
Turn 146, he built this.
Yeah, nicely handled. Using the utility as well. Even though things get a little precarious, they screw their heads on straight to make sure that Fury don't get away with murder on that initial short hold. Nice kill from Art though. Elige trying to escape because the bomb would have certainly done him in if he'd simply stayed. And that's a rifle that he can upgrade to.
You say that, but he might jump off a building.
Yeah, he could jump off the building, could meet the floor too fast.
This time Art decides to be not particularly vertically inclined. He'll keep his feet planted firmly on the floor.
As well, even though things get a little precarious, murder, trying to get up. Hey.
Well,
onto JT, so he's that.
this way, Art's on.
That man was more than he was.
Trick. Comes the gun round. Lay east standard in reach time.
It felt like Fury having a discussion because they come in with the advantage. You know, they come in 7-5. They win the pistol, that critical clutch for Fallen. And since then, Complexity have been able to bridge the gap. They cannot let that lead slip. They come in with a non-pristine buy. Art obviously loves working with the SMG, sure, but whether or not he has impact is a whole other question. Elige crept past that short smoke as well and realizes that there's nobody playing forward here on Furia, but it's a different port of the attack. Art challenging in from Crane, but there's more where that came from Furia.
JT's able to recover the spray fast enough to shut Art down. Yuri, however, there's that second prong you're hoping to see, but the flash is too good, and Elige is the same. Holzer can trade when his leader finally falls. And now 4 versus 2, Holzer only had to keep himself alive. In the meanwhile, the B site is where Quesarado is found out again. Just not able to find that impact.
Yeah, Holzer might have fallen, but them dealing with Quesarado so quickly more than makes up for it. These players are wounded here on Complexity. Information that may not be all present here for Cello, but one of them is playing forward. A couple of flashes available here for Cello. That smoke faded, and he's dealt with JT. That was the lowest man. Each of the first players that should contact are on that low health. A tap on the bomb, Grim will face, and that's an easy frag for Cello. And it all comes down to Floppy to make sure that Cello can't pull this all together. But it's not a prime position to really combat this. And Floppy had to take a wide angle face. He doesn't fall foul to Cello simply sticking it. This is a key clutch. This time, Complexity close it.
It still gets so close in that 4 versus 2 after Holzerk initially dies. You're thinking Quesarado might be able to step up in a way that makes Cello's skill a little bit more worthwhile. And then, you know what, round should be over. But no, Cello brings it all the way down to the wire. The problem is now the shoe is on the other foot. Fury on the CT side. It doesn't really matter how many of these 1v1s you're able to get into. These will almost always have that economy.
If we're talking post plants, that bomb money goes a long way. Especially if they're able to chain rounds together. They're working with some reserve. If Fury start to answer back with rounds, they'd have to deal with 2, maybe 3 consecutive buys.
Elige and Holzerk have taken a significant amount of damage, and Art is here to finish them off as well. Potentially, Elige too will fall. And now would be the time for Quesarado's Deagle to shine. Quesarado needs to have a round here. Floppy's already low, and as the flash flies through, Quesarado ends up blind as well. JD trying to fight back, but Fallen now getting involved. This is it, Complexity. This is the round you go back to every single night. This is the round you see in your nightmares.
And it's not just somebody hitting 4 clean Deagle shots like we saw Holzerk do in that first half. Instead, it's a more combined effort, and it's Art with this SMG that springs the trap, finds these first 2 kills. They had utility. Signals should have been raised if you were Complexity. There was an investment behind this that Fury were willing to leverage. These shots from Cello are clean, but it's that initial aggression that sends Complexity his direction.
Complexity are fortunate to have a bye, but their mental must be shaken at this point. Art is still getting aggressive. Elige, can he find him? Elige turns around. Art has the advantage. And now Art just maintains with the spray. There is nothing they can do to get past this man. 24 kills, 13 deaths. Art is playing it to perfection.
He may have taken a moment to get activated on CT, but man, is he delivering the goods. Cello tanking a nade. I don't know that a sound cue was given over to Floppy. He seemed a little hesitant to commit to the idea that there is somebody still committed in this position. Cello still yet to reveal his plan. This should be a Fury round so long as Cello finds this kill.
Oh, the patience as well. Cello knows that all he has to do is force Floppy to show his hand. And from here, it's his teammates' his job. Floppy, no choice but to go for it. The attempt has to be made. Quesarado can try and commit to a flank later on if they allow the bomb plant in. And that should be the call. Don't contest him too hard. Art is low. Flash overhead will not matter. Fallen gives Floppy the space to potentially move away, and Floppy's hurt Fallen. And first duel could be taken. In the meanwhile, they wait for Quesarado to commit. In through ramp he goes. He's now watching out for that dark peak to come through, and at the smoke down, Fallen can't cover. Art on the smoke. The nade should finish him off, and indeed it does, but Fallen, position revealed will not matter. Fantastic shot to take them down, and it is all Art they have to thank for that round.
Yeah, I don't think they didn't have kits as well, but Floppy doing a great job of reading that situation as well. Had he over-peaked in from short, Quesarado was holding for him. The fact that they were so hesitant to actually push him after that plan had been revealed starts to give you an idea on some of the numbers that Fury are operating around it in the first forward place. And so he knew his flank was exposed. And nicely done from Fallen to eliminate clutching potential. Once again, he is the ruiner of Complexity clutches. This will be the last strength and buy here from Complexity.
They might choose not to invest into it fully, to be honest. It should be an 11-9 from Furia. But Complexity buy.
They started buying into get weapons.
Look at this, man. Art The first kill is bad enough, but the fact that he gets a full follow-up because of the grenade, it is huge.
And there was a world where, you know, Cello, once he could have taken a timing and actually just peeked in from sandbags, but he was waiting for the right time to strike. And once he saw a free kill, you know, a 3-on-1, you're hoping your team close that, and Furia do. Yeah, this choice to invest here from Complexity could come back to bite them. This is hardly an ideal buy. Could be their last real fighting chance as well with it.
Deep Molotov forces them forward. JT and Floppy combine forces. And maybe Furia is caught off guard by the double buy up behind Complexity, not expecting them to have money after everything that comes through. But there's a round. Complexity right back in it.
Yeah, and just targeted that B bomb site once again. You know, we think about them going in with the force buy, an overwhelming Quesarado. They were cutting down rotations. It was actually really hectic. This time, everything goes in order. Flash from Holzerk, beautiful. And the util funneling Furia out into the open as well. It's just JT that leads the charge. It creates the space for him and Floppy to get both those kills.
And the idea that you are living in a world where Quesarado is the one that they are trying to target and take down, that is huge. Really does show his lack of presence in the game so far. Overpass, he had some moments. Great rotations, great CT side, but D side of overpass forward, Quesarado hasn't really been present the same way, but you know what? We've not needed to talk about that so far because Art's been doing it all.
Yeah, but the rounds where Art is not finding kills, not finding impact, feels like Complexity have a much easier time. That man's been able to pull out many a multi-kill so far here for Furia, many rounds attributed to his name as well. There's a reason this guy became such a force, such a fearful opponent to face on this map.
And unfortunately for Complexity, still not seeing Grim. Still not really seeing the best of Floppy either, even if he has made some more noise.
You still credit him with being able to just make sure Cello didn't clutch back against them.
Well, take the small wins you can.
Those are the important ones. Those are the kills you can't afford to miss.
You do wish you had enough currency to buy a few more, though.
Well, back into the swing of things. Here we stand 10 and 10 apiece. Like fast pace from Complexity breaking into B, sure, but will they try and go for something like it again? A lot of presence shown over towards ramp. Elige trying to chance it. Once again, using this smoke, but they're assembling the boost. He caught them last time, and he'll catch them again. Yuri dealt with, and some damage exchanged onto Elige, but he's found the entry they were looking for.
This is huge. Elige last time took a lot of damage to do so as well, but now, fully safe, fully alive, Furia. Their hearts are beating faster. Cello wants to make a play. He knows that he's going to be isolated otherwise, but instead retreats. Looks for a company on the bomb site. Company that Fallen is providing with a scope, hard scoping forward, just trying to clear out sandbags if anyone is there. But in the meanwhile, Elige is going into the crevices of Furia, finding every angle, every opening that is offered to him, even if ever so slightly.
3 on 5. Complexity need to maintain this advantage. Fallen caught on a poor timing. Wanted to retreat as soon as that smoke came out. And I think this is Fallen and Furia calling quits. Elige getting those 2 kills onto short. How fortunate for Complexity that both the times that they've tried to go and assemble this triple boost on the side of Furia, Elige has caught them out. Not just bouncing, trying to catch Fallen, but they know this round is already done. Complexity will be the one that strikes to 11 first. All about how many weapons they hold on to, and Fallen making a good case that 3 should be how it remains. No one else on Complexity dare chase. But a little bit of presence, a little bit of forward aggression, especially when Fury are trying to implement some of these more gimmicked or more defensive plays to catch Complexity out. Complexity are instead very well aware.
I mean, the more I see Elige, the more surprising it is to anyone who would be brought forward from a time machine. Honestly, Elige, the player who was known for not being able to perform at times when things were getting rough, when they were losing rounds they shouldn't. Elige, the player who liked to play a bit more passive, Twist generally being characterized as more of the aggressive pairing from them when they were winning that Grand Slam. And now, a leader of men, a leader of frags, a giver of entries. But even despite
you said you got her, mommy.
Complexity, there is still 2 more steps they need to take to try and give them another map. Those will not be easy steps, I can tell you that. The game Hart's been having, he has to keep himself alive over here, and as he's jumping up and down, Elige finds him again. The duel between the two seems to decide the fate of a round, and if history is anything to go by, unless Yuri gives us a multi-kill, it might be difficult, and Yuri caught on his teammate as he tries to retreat, Fallen as well in the open, worried about a full swing through. One that will never come. They had to clear out sandbags first, and Fallen holds off an angle. Close range gets the kill. JT down, and Floppy joins him. Advantage regained, but Holzerk will trade. Holzerk and Grim now trying to get the bomb down. One that is not even attempted. Queserado's rotation to come through from ramp, and in the meanwhile, is anyone taking care of it? Grim nestled away, now aware, and Queserado brings him low, but Holzerk now wants to swing out. Queserado meets them both. You can put him down, but he won't stay there.
Such a big moment for this Furia team. When Elige had again found that entry, Art couldn't do a damn thing. He was getting spammed by too many riflers in at ramp. It's Yuri that gets the kill right back, and then him and Fallen just stopping them, keeping them contained at ramp. They could never get comfortable setting back up onto A. They had to anticipate that someone could even overstep past those smokes when they were dialing in those digits, but that just leaves the space for Queserado's flank.
I mean, they read into it. They're expecting it. But that's the problem. The latest Brazilian Terminator. It doesn't matter if you know he's coming, he'll get you.
This is a swing round though. Money drying. This could be worth its weight in 2. We've seen some cobbled together buys find success so far this second half. But can you put your faith in that to succeed again?
Great nade. That gave the audio cue. They should know that there's 2 players as well. Cello fully blinded, but Queserado is the same. He still gets 2. Queserado's picked things all the way back up. Complexity. They feel their life leaving their bodies. Grim in an impossible 1v4. He's just saving the op.
What a read from Furia. A 2-man setup initially, but having that 3rd man ready to flash as well. They were ready for that aggression. Complexity had so much success breaking into that B bomb site with these faster leveled executes. Hell, this time JT trying to contact up, utilizing that Molotov that his teammates are throwing right behind him to funnel these players out into the open. But Furia had the answer this time. They didn't want to fall foul to the same tricks of Complexity. And all Grim can do is save and hold on to this AWP. Said money was going to dry up, and it certainly has for Complexity.
Did you get a PP?
They might be able to funnel together and grab their hands on a couple of rifles at best.
Have to be Khalil's. Unless they want to hero AK up and drop one over. Grim actually ferries the Khalil over to Elige. She's given a Tech 9 in its place. Well, the way things are going, that resource allocation does make a lot of sense. Complexity is at death's door. They've been America's finest so far. the primary hope of the US of A.
And they don't want the weird permutations when suddenly it's other North American organizations and players that they could potentially face. Once you have that one loss attributed to you, you're fighting for your lives. They're fortunate enough they're in this 2-0. They'll have another swing at it, but it's who they might face in that following round that could scare them to bits as well. Furia was that first hurdle. And it's all about whether or not they can bring us into the overtime or not off this cobbled bye.
JT to take charge. Art. He's not going to get aggressive, not in a round like this, not so early at least. He's waiting for the play to be made. Elige and JT will be made to fear him with his position reveal, but Yuri's the point man again. Yuri's putting up numbers, but Elige and Floppy are the ones finding frag. Holzer's Molotov still equalizes,
Raymond?
not in the way they wanted it to. Complexity.
I'm okay right now, thank you very much.
With the AWP of Holzer, unable to find anything, still remaining uncontested. This Molotov from Fallen is everything. It's going to give them so much more space, but it's missed. It's gone inside the smoke. The bomb can be planted. And in the meanwhile, Cello is just revealing position. They're trying to close distance. A 5-7 finds nothing. Elige, low. Boxed into a corner of sandbags. No flashes from Furious side. They cannot push Holzerk away, so the smoke is all they have to rely on. But as they continue to delay, as they continue to wait, Holzerk will close the distance to them. He wants to combat off this out, and Elige is here to continue to prevail, to continue to perform. Holzerk misses the no-scope close range. Grim is still knifing thin air. Elige takes another down. Complexity are still in it.
How on earth do they keep on pulling these rounds together when economy is dried up? They go for fast B hits, they attack ramp this time over, and they end up in this 3-on-3 where resources are just spilled all over that A bomb site. There are smokes that are down, there are Molotovs available there from Furia, but they're counteracted by just how much presence there is, by how many smokes there are down. That is a round that felt like they could have successfully retaked, but they were doing such a good job on Complexity, not giving them much of an inch, not giving them the fights that they were hounding for.
And you have to appreciate the fact that Holzer closes the distance like that as well. Sure, he misses his shot, but the amount of space he's able to give Elige and Grim. Grim just goes off into the distance, he's just knifing. He's like, you know what, no matter what happens, I'm not losing to a ninja.
But as well, not be having to be so concerned about getting swung from the right-hand side. That's what Holzer kind of provided to them. Damn.
Elige ends that on 24 and 17. Art is on 24 and 16.
Yeah. And
these two are neck to neck.
But Art's been trapped at 24
he has
since he's been able to have that impact. You know, we saw a couple of rounds back-to-back where he was able to really just command presence.
But where Art is strapped, Serato has given them a few more performances, right? He's up to 17. He's been giving them those multi-kills, 2 different double kills coming in at crucial moments.
We're seeing much more of an even field for the rest of the Complexity squad. We're maybe not seeing the star presence from player like Floppy or Grim, but they're able to pull their weight when it comes to the trading game and actually just getting into the sites. It does kind of feel like if you're Elige, you're having to battle back all of the Titans on Furia. On that first map, you're looking at Serato and Yuri. Now it's Art you're having to combat with. That's the whole damn core, let alone Fallen AWPing you at every given opportunity. He has been the consistent piece for Complexity and a big reason that they're still fighting in it.
It feels unfair to even call him the consistent piece because of how consistently excellent he's been.
Yeah.
Normally you think, oh, consistent piece, you're thinking maybe someone like a Perfecto.
Yeah, like a 17, you know, 16, you know, back when we were on MR15, those are the numbers you're sort of targeting.
You're getting overrun on a site, you're always going to be good for 1 kill, maybe even stay alive. Not a point man taking it to the man himself.
It does seem as though we've come into this overtime. Blood pulsing. Something's happened with someone's PC.
Monitors being punched is something we've already seen.
I don't think here yet, hopefully.
Not in this harm.
Yeah. Let's make sure all these tempers are contained.
It's hard to do that, though.
They wouldn't be out of the tournament, but some of those teams have already had to take that on the chin.
And for Furia, we have to keep in mind what's on the line, right? We had such an underperformance from them at the Paris Major, bombing out of the only stage they were allowed to participate in. Of course, they entered the top 16, but they exited at 16. And ever since then, it felt like Furia went from being, you know what, a floundering top 10 team to now being a questionable top 20 even at times.
It's been a lot of the in-game leading struggles and just role swaps and, you know, players trying to fill the voids on each other's rosters. And it does feel, you know, with the performance we've seen from Furia at this RMR, they may have plugged some of those gaps. But there has been some real problems, you know, dealing with complexity. There's been some scrappy rounds from both of these squads.
And hopefully for Furia, this tactical pause can address some of those. Gary coming into the picture can explain. Of course, he's been one of the main features of this score ever since they started, so he does have that developed rapport with them, does have that developed strat book with them. Now would be as good a time as any to pull that out. But into overtime we go. Our heroes are certain, Art and Elige. But who will shine brighter? That is the question.
And will a weakness emerge again? They hit the B bomb site a number of times here on Complexity. This time they're given a little bit of grace as well. Quesarado nading himself at the start of this round.
Never good.
A little singe there onto JT. Oh, and a missed smoke from Quesarado.
That is really unfortunate. Quesarado completely botching his utility.
He went through the gaps in the stairs.
That's not every day you see it. Fully clearing out the B side and trying to make it look like they want to go for a commitment. Complexity are instead angling to A. Fallen has fallen. Only Yuri to reinforce, and the problem is with Holzer, he is the kind of player who you don't know if he really comes in with a lot of reinforcements, despite him being the AWPer.
Anchoring the AWP is sometimes his duty. But they vacated. Only actually allowing Holzer to hunt with that AWP. But Yuri is still kept around because of that. They don't really know what's coming. Quesarado making up for Yuri, going 1 for 1, but it's a trade right back here for Complexity. A man advantage and the flash good. Art forced to take cover inside of the generators. And just hoping that Yuri can also sweep up, but Art finally found around those gens. And Yuri left in a 1 versus 3. That smoke that's down may provide a little bit of coverage, allow him to escape their watchful eyes. But another smoke that greets him that will buy even more time.
Surely you turn around and go back to save that AWP from Fallen. It's on the A-bomb side, it's inviting you. Yuri, however, wants to go for the full commitment, fighting into too many swings. Elige to take him down. 13 for Complexity. And him not saving the AWP over there is very significant. It's 10K. They're not going to be able to buy up another AWP later on in the third round if they fall again. Now they don't even buy an AWP over here, and with how effective Fallen's been, that's important. JT, however, can't finish off Art. Rather, he can't finish off Yuri. Cello. Lies in wait, an angle that's very difficult to clear, and as Grim moves forward, Cello's already! He had gotten himself off the angle, and Quesarado in the meanwhile can't deal with too many positions. Yuri as well will fall!
They can't keep doing it. They just keep attacking this B play. But Art coming in on the backstab, finding Floppy, and Elige already low, but Holzerk's found Fallen, and the nade will finish Art off. We go straight into this overtime, and Complexity win 2 rounds back to back, and it's the same target, the same players that they're looking to exploit. Some of the demons they had to fight back on Overpass that are suddenly the invitation that Complexity need on this T side.
This was supposed to be King Kong versus Godzilla. It was supposed to be Batman versus the Joker. It's supposed to be Elise versus Quesarado. Supposed to be the iconic cross-continental rivalry, but for now, Complexity seem to have the bigger man and the bigger monster. 1-for-1 trade to start things off, but as Art closes the distance, JT around the corner is asking for death, and Art is happy to deliver, but he's lost his teammates and he's lost his advantage. Ground conceded, and Complexity look to start riding 15 on the top of the scoreboard. Fallen to go down. And where Furia had every advantage, instead Cello will roast to death. Complexity have 3 opportunities to close out this comeback.
Yeah, and just Elige just keeps on finding impact as well. This man is not slowed down in this map. How on earth has he been able to just pick apart defenses and find so many chances for this Complexity squad? He does it again. Overtime has beckoned him, and he's answered.
There have been so many question marks, so many conversations about the NA GOAT across the years. With Twist getting the Grand Slam, people try to make a case, but I've got to say, man, just look at the server, look with your eyes. Look at what is in front of you. It is greatness consolidated into a single man. Cello to experience it firsthand.
He is doing his damnedest to make sure Complexity do not go out a measly 2-0. They've got a nice high-low setup as well, built for mid, and Art trying to pick it apart, but he found Floppy, the instant headshot, the quick tap, and then Elige was here too, so it's Art and Quesarado to break down what was a very strong mid setup there for Complexity. And suddenly a man advantage that rears its head for Furia.
It looked like they had the right idea. But even the best of intentions can always go wrong. Lean back to A from Complexity. They're going to be ones to prioritize their money. In the scenario that Furia ends up hitting the B bomb site, which is the scenario that we will see transpire, Complexity will not contend.
They don't want to be resource starved, maybe the same way that Furia were for their final round of that first half of the overtime, but JT's still giving it a gander, seeing what he might be able to find around those smokes.
They've decided to go in for it.
Yeah,
they want to go for the full retake. Quesarado should be able to cover this off as well. Continues to deliver in overtime. Quesarado, another big double. Has been somewhat missing at times, but Holzerk with 10 seconds is really hoping to find the bomb planter. He might have done it. Yuri goes down, and as they're just trying to zone in, Fallen had to cover, and he delivers.
I think that was the only reason they started to think, why don't we go for this actually? They were moseying about, not getting that bomb planted quite quick enough, and then pushing through that smoke, it added to that chaos. The fact that Holzerk, wow, found that extra kill, I mean that's just lightning sharp there from Art. He has been on one, on Vertigo. But so crucial that Holzerk gets nothing further from that. A quick tack. In the OT you get 1. For every overtime, a new one that could potentially be discussing with your coach as to what you should be doing next.
And listen, you can say a lot of things about Complexity. They've been very good with their DAC usage. A lot of teams end up not using them at all. It's sort of like dying with the grenades in your belt. It's like, might as well.
I think in general, both these teams have had a very good conversion rate once they've called that timeout.
And that's something to be scared of if you're Furia.
Whether it's TC or Gary, finding impact in the server, even though they stand behind their players.
Holzerk looking to peek in. He's got that one. Makes it look like it's free, but needs to be careful not to just cross over in front of Grim's aim. That would be disastrous. Grim still trying to play bodyguard. If Cello moves through, he knows there's going to be an op on the other side to greet him. Meanwhile, JT, he's gone. And with that, the ace site as well penetrated.
It was slow working, but they've got some space now. Grim, down the ladder he goes. And Cello was caught between watching B and watching that ladder drop, but Grim couldn't quite find that head fast enough. Man up here for Furia. Nice that Cello kept his head on a swivel, but once again, there's all this utility down, but Furia not rushing, not looking to get that plant in swiftly.
And with the smoke now covering off Gate Serrano, he's not really going to be able to add anything to this overall debate on the A side. Complexity, find a quick pick through that very same smoke. Gate Serrano is down, the bomb on the ground. With 30 seconds left now, a boost could be big. They decide not to assemble it. Worried about Fallen, expecting that very same boost, and now Holzerk will just watch the cross with the delay they found earlier on. The smoke is finished. Cello can't move. And he needs to. He needs to get out of the way as Fallen has missed his shot and the opportunity is lost. Complexity on the verge of delivery. Only Yuri left, and as he's found one, denies the blood, keeps it going, but Holzerk's defused. Complexity will even. 16-13, we're going to nuke.
Fantastic gameplay we've just seen there, boys. Complexity taking us into overtime, closing out Furia's map pick of Vertigo, 16-13. Fantastic showing from them, and I'm loving the fact that the rest of the Complexity players are finally stepping it up.
Yeah, what a sick game of Counter-Strike we're having right now. Map number 1 in the overpass, that was a great one. Back and forth at a certain point, 10-10. Moving into Vertigo, we're continuing down that path. Two teams who are very hard to distinguish from each other right now. Both playing high-level Counter-Strike, both putting up a great fight. Massive comeback coming in for Complexity right here. It was looking very dire in the beginning. It felt like Furia had that one locked down, especially with a strong T-side. Complexity fight their way back, and then we go into overtime where it initially looked great for Complexity. Then move into the CT side, you start to worry a little bit up until this point where once again we have it a clutch being clutched out for Complexity. Beautiful game of Counter-Strike, fun to watch and very exciting.
Yeah, I think that map definitely deserved OT after how close it got. Both teams having, you know, stellar moments and then some kerfuffles as well. But if we're talking about stellar players, Elige comes to mind yet again. How good is he for the series? He was 23 kills on the first map, so he's almost towards that 60 kill mark for the series so far, and we still got another map to go. If he keeps his performance up, that's a performance.
Listen, I'm not gonna lie, right? Elige having a fantastic game, both on map number 1 and on map number 2, but it also illustrates what we talked about coming into it, that without Elige playing well, Complexity don't have the support cast next to him in order to do much. He's had another fantastic showing, 10 multi-kill rounds, 103 ADR, had a couple of opening kills as well, a couple of clutch moments in the game as well, and this pistol, he almost deserved to win it. We were watching in the green room, holding our breath. He came so close, couldn't quite finish it out, but for Elige to play well is super nice, but it also highlights how big of a win condition is for Complexity. Without him powering off with 23 or 33 kills on map number 2, then there's no winning for Complexity, so hopefully he can continue that moving into map 3.
And what you'll notice is this isn't on purpose an Elige package. This is just the replays of the game, and it happens to be Elige almost every single time. He has been just going absolutely off there on the rifle, and man, that was just... Oof. Even right towards the end, I thought maybe there was a chance. I think it was Yuri last alive in that final round, but Fury just couldn't get it done. And I'm hoping for them that they're going to be able to keep it together now, because they got so close. They could taste it there on Vertigo, and now they got to go all the way to a third.
It's going to be spicy. That's definitely going to be an interesting series, to say the very least. But Jacob, I want to come on over to you. I want you to pick apart some of these rounds in particular for me. Take us over into round 9.
Well, a crucial moment in the game. Without round 9, I don't think Complexity would be in the position they're in right now. It's 6-2 right now for Furia. They are on a steamroll. The T-side is looking good. Then a 5v3 at this moment as well. It is a save round for Complexity. It's a 5v2. If you were to stop the round right here, it is unlosable for Furia until Holzerk happens. Nice deagle shootings right here. The first guy needs 3 bullets. The second guy, just 1. The third guy, just 1. Absolutely stellar work for Holzerk, and then he moves in and he finishes off the round with another 1 shot with the Deagle. This round right here got complexity going. It gave them a decent showing in the first half. It was still Furia dominating, but without this round, there was no way that they could fight their way back into the game. Another clutch moment coming in from Holzerk. We've seen it a lot this tournament.
Yeah, we really have. We said on the desk, you know, that you can't rely on that, but they had to rely on that, and that round is where it started to flip the economy back into Complexity's favor, allowed them to have a bit more of a solid first half there, and then towards the second half, it felt a bit more messy. You could feel the pressure in their gameplay, and it was only when they hit OT, I felt like we saw the best structure out of Complexity, and that's why it was flawless in OT. If we see that Complexity moving into the third map, then I'm a little bit worried for Furia. But why'd it take that long? You know, why'd it take that long for them to get their heads screwed on?
I think that's definitely the question on everybody's minds. Now, take me into round 24. What did we see from that
Baby.
Well, Max said it pretty beautifully. You know, it came down to some very close clutches. It was so close for Furia. They could almost taste the victory. We see round 24 right here. Trades going back and forth. Again, Floppy getting a kill, Elise getting a kill, then a team kill with the Molotov in a 3v3. It goes down to the narrowest moment. Elise sitting at sandbags with, I believe, 20 HP. Very low on HP right now, but it's him coming in clutch. He's down to 12. He's getting the first one. He's getting the second one as well. He's finishing off the round. So another great clutch play coming in from Elise. Another 3v3 that Complexity were able to convert. And another showcase that, as you said, Furia was so close, closing this one out 2-0.
Look, sorry. Individually, it wasn't just a Liege on Complexity. It was also for the side of Furia. You had Art having a great game, doing Art things, right? But he also had Quesarado there, so it wasn't just Quesarado carrying this time. He had Art there with him, who was having a lot of fun there on Vertigo. Unfortunately, it's like back in the old ESTA days, right? When you'd play your best game, but your teammates around you just weren't quite there, and even though you just lost, you lose all those Art-ups, and it just was bad, man.
What do you mean back in the day? I hear that rumor has it that you're still struggling nowadays on the server as well, Mac.
Rumor?
Facts. Check it out here. Next map, though, boys, is going to be... I'm so sorry. Next map is going to be Nuke. How do we think either one of these teams are going to look to address this? Do you think that Complexity can keep that momentum going?
It's a good question. Complexity haven't played the map a lot in officials, only once, I believe, in the past 3 months, so we don't really know what their current level is and what kind of consistency they can show on a map like Nuke. Furia is on a 4-game win streak coming into it against lesser good opponents. It's 9C, Imperial, X-Anonymous, and then Astralis, of course, doing the bedroom, but that goes a while back, 3 months ago almost. So for Furia, you're coming into the third map with confidence. You haven't lost the map in 4 officials in a row, whereas for Complexity, you're a bit of a question mark. I think momentum can carry over from Vertigo. I think it was a great showing coming in for Complexity. You said it took a while for them to get started, but now they're here. I expect another close game and a banger map to finish it out. It's been a great series so far.
I think for me, if Complexity end up having to play Furia's game again, then this is where they're going to have to go and play whoever they have to tomorrow to survive here in the America's RMR, because Furia, you know they love a lot of chaos, you know they love a lot of utility dumping, and Nuke is one of those maps where you can really make that happen, and if you can thrive that little bit better by just generally having better chemistry, moving out on those bomb sites, Complexity are really in trouble.
Here's a silver lining for you. We spoke about Yuri. He hasn't really been up to par with what he usually delivers on the server, at least the last couple of months. On Nuke specifically, he's the team's highest rated player, performing better than Quesarado. So you're coming into a map where at least him personally, the past 3 months, despite having struggled in other maps, he has confidence on Nuke. So now not only do you have Art playing well, you have Quesarado firing on all cylinders, you're supposed to have Yuri as well. So I think in terms of raw firepower, Furia will bring a bit more to the table on a map like Nuke.
Now, what about on the Complexity side of things? Obviously, we're going to be looking towards Mygo Elite to carry the team through this, but is anybody else going to have the capability to rise to the occasion and put in a shift as well? Because I feel sorry for Elige's shoulders right now.
Yeah, my goat.
My goat.
But look, the Orpers, of course. Holzerk, you know, he's been having a pretty good game. More so, I feel like I saw more from him when he was on the rifle and even the pistols on those clutches than on the actual AWP. So as long as he can start to feel it, you know, control that outside area on Nuke, then it should be okay for Complexity. But on the Furia side of things, we were talking about Fallen, you know, he was holding angles and we're just like, is he going to hit that? That's a bit tight. And then, boom, hitting it, bam, repeat, just constantly making little plays. And he's still here, he's still gaming. And if he can keep that AWP performance up at Outers, then, you know.
It's definitely going to be a spicy map. Nuke is the final one in our final best of 3 series. Who is going to take it? It's going to be Complexity. Is it going to be Furia? There's only one way to find out.
Level up your gaming space with metal posters from Displates. Hang your Displates in seconds. Swap them whenever you like. Get official art from your favorite games on a uniquely designed metal canvas and choose from thousands of posters. Join over 3 million collectors now. Your wall upgrade is here. Shop now at displate.com.
Players are changing. Countries are changing. The game has changed.
Finds it to perfection and simple. No!
It's Olaf who's on top of the box though. He's got 3 and he's looking for a 4. That is incredible.
And Rain, he's knocked away.
The best tournament, the best bookmaker at the same